What exactly is paresthesia? Paresthesia is the sensation of burning, tingling, or numb feelings, although they may be described as feelings of cold, warmth, prickling, pins and needles, and skin crawling or itching. These feelings can occur anywhere on the body, but are mainly present on the hands, arms, legs, and feet. Most of us would probably agree that this is pretty annoying, right? Many of you probably believe that these sensations are caused by the cutting off of the circulation of blood flow. Well, you're wrong. They're actually caused by the compressing of nerves in a certain area.
Hey son, come here.
I can't feel my butt and I can't get up.
Sitting cross-legged, lying on an arm while sleeping, or hitting your elbow can cause you to pinch a nerve. Nerves that are either pinched or bruised are peripheral nerves, or more specifically, the afferent nerves, which send signals to the brain. If a person loses motor control over a limb, he or she has pinched the efferent somatic motor neurons, which receive signals from the brain. Signals, whether cut off completely or just partly, are passed to the central nervous system, to the spinal nerves, through the medulla, through the thalamus, ending up in the somatosensory cortex of the brain. Arms, legs, and buttocks are all processed in the dorsal cortex of the somatosensory cortex.
This illustration demonstrates the area of the primary somatosensory cortex, or the S1, where sensory nerve signals from different parts of the body are processed. Note that a larger portion of the S1 is designated to the arms, hands, legs, feet, and face. Nerve signals from the peripheral nervous system enter the spinal cord, travel up the medial limnicus and the spinothalamic tract, through the medulla, synapse in the ventrolateral nucleus of the thalamus, up to the primary somatosensory cortex. Information from the left side of the body is processed on the right side of the cerebral hemisphere.
She hit her elbow.
Hitting your elbow, or the not-so-funny bone, can cause painful tingling or numb sensations which are processed through the nervous system, which is a complex system that coordinates the voluntary and involuntary actions and functions of animals and transmits signals between different parts of the body. It is the control system in charge of our organ functions, our actions and reactions. The central nervous system consists of the nerves located in the brain and the spinal column. The peripheral nervous system includes the nerves outside of the central nervous system that run through the rest of the body. Abnormal sensations occur when nerves are compressed in the peripheral nervous system, and this can happen anywhere along the sensory pathway. For example, when the ulnar nerve is damaged, fibers carry signals to the spinal cord through the dorsal root and then travel up the spinal cord through the medulla and then synapse in the thalamus and send signals to the somatosensory cortex in the parietal lobe of the brain, where the brain misinterprets the lack of nerve flow as a tingling sensation.
So, how does that make you feel?
I don't feel anything.
Nerves in the arm are rooted in the upper spine just above the clavicle. The ulnar nerve, aka the funny bone, runs through the elbow, causing discomfort if pinched or bruised. There are also a bundle of nerves in the armpit, which may get pinched if leaning over the back of a chair.
You can shut down a nerve by putting pressure on part of your body, sitting on a foot, sleeping on an arm. When you apply this pressure for a prolonged period of time, you compress the nerve and cut off communication between your brain and that part of your body. The pressure squeezes the nerve so they can't transmit their electrochemical impulses properly. It also decreases the blood flow, which is necessary to provide nerves with oxygen and other nutrients.
When my legs are crossed, it cuts off the circulation to my foot, so then it falls asleep.
Not both of them fall asleep, just one, and it's usually the right one.
Neurons make it possible for our bodies to have our own electrical impulses. Dendrites resemble branches on a tree and receive information from other neurons. Axons resemble tree trunks and transmit signals to other neurons. Myelin is the fatty material that covers the axon and acts as insulation. The place where an axon's branches come in contact with the next cell's dendrites is called a synapse. That's where neurotransmitters pass information from one neuron to the next. The sodium-potassium pump maintains correct concentrations of sodium and potassium ions by removing excess ions from inside a cell and replacing them with ions from outside the cell. The pump removes 3 positively charged sodium ions out for every 2 potassium ions that it lets in. Ion channels are simple proteins in the cell membrane that are designed for the passage of a specific ion. When the cell becomes active, the action potential begins and the ion channels open and positive sodium ions rush in, so the inside of the cell becomes less negative. Once the stimulus reaches a certain threshold, it triggers more sodium channels to respond and allows more ions to come in. This causes the remaining sodium channels on the neuron's membrane to open. When the action potential reaches the end of the neuron, it triggers a release of neurotransmitters through exocytosis. Those neurotransmitters then flow to another neuron and cause an action potential there, creating a chain reaction that carries a signal through the nerve pathway.
I think we're finished here.